wonderful. It was so pretty this weekend.
College football was amazing for some, and for others, it was a trying weekend. But I will say this much. I thought that the Alabama A&M game was probably one of the best games I had seen in a very, very long time. So enjoyed that. You're like, I'm over it.
Fun. I'm such a fair weather football fan. I mean, I watch the Cowboys when the Cowboys play. I don't care whether they're winning. They're 3 games up, 3 games down. It's not really. I'm just a fair weather fan.
He's just like, well, whatever it is. I'm not the biggest fan, but there was a really cool get together that Trey Brown had, and it's always the Texas OU game, and ribs and barbecue and homemade banana pudding. So it was a really good time hanging out with the guys.
That's great.
It was fun.
I saw the Bond movie this weekend.
How was that?
I really enjoyed it. So I have this internal. If a movie goes over 2 hours, I get really bored by it. And I didn't realize that it is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. I'm glad I didn't know that.
Did you hang in there?
Oh yeah, totally. Because the movie itself is great. There are a couple of things in it that I went with Morgan and Tim, and there were a couple of things that they talked about that they didn't really like about it that I've heard other people say as well. And I can't tell you what that is because it would be kind of a giveaway of part of the movie, but I definitely go see it.
Well, are you watching Ted Lasso?
I have watched Ted Lasso. I have not finished the season yet. I just haven't done that last one. I don't want to yet.
Amazing. If you're not watching Ted Lasso, you need to.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is I think it's very interesting that in the Green Gems, one of the articles that was written actually references Ted Lasso. And I thought that was a really good tie-in.
It's funny that he's already become that kind of cultural connection.
Ted Lasso. I want Ted Lasso to run for president. I love that guy. How many people do you think are going to dress up as Ted Lasso for Halloween?
Oh, I bet it's going to be crazy.
It has to be. And we have a friend, Tamara Gady, if you're listening, you are Rebecca.
Yes.
Oh my God. I have shown your picture to so many of our friends that watch it and be like, this is not Rebecca. This is actually Tamara Gady. And everybody agrees.
And the woman that plays Rebecca plays in like 4 or 5 other things right now, and that I didn't realize she played in. There's just one I saw the other day. I'm horrible at this, but
there she is. God,
yeah,
she's
gorgeous,
amazing,
just gorgeous.
And so is, and the funny thing is Tamara is as gorgeous as her and as tall. I love it. And the other thing too is, God, what's his name? Roy Kent. Roy Kent. He has the funniest Instagram account. He's really, I don't know what his real name is, but he is an amazing guy. I get a charge out of him, and I love his character. I love how much he cusses.
So is the Instagram account in character as Roy Kent, or is it's his personal Instagram account?
It is his personal account, and it talks and he is really humorous and creative when it comes to like the video stock. Good Lord, can you imagine if we could have him on the show? I would love that. We could Skype him in.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. So what's going on in the market? They're here to hear about real estate, not Ted Lasso.
The market is, we're continuing to see this seasonal slowdown.
Yep.
There were more listings that came on the market last week compared to the week before. It was up by about 5%. Those back on market listings went down a bit, but to me that said those were houses that the contracts held together.
Yep.
I mean, there are lots of reasons they come back on the market. They might have gone temporarily off market or whatever, but traditionally what we see most when they come back on market is when a contract falls out.
We're seeing that price decreases are down 28%, and that's a good thing. We're seeing that maybe there's a normalization. I still think it's very seasonal. 1 week with that big of a depreciation is not like the new norm. So it's something to watch, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yep. Price increases are down a little bit. We're only 368 last week compared to 402 the week before. Under contract went down a smidge, but it was a really small amount. It went down from 1883 to 1808 contracts. Those that came out of the option period that were down just a smidge to 371.
And so when we look at pendings, we see that they're also down by 15%, down to 2637. Want to also point out that these numbers that we're comparing to last week also were end of month, and some of those carried over. So it's a little tougher for it quite to be apples to apples. But you can also see sold was down 46%, 2,400 versus 3,500 the week before.
Yeah, and your point is really important because the data that goes into MLS lags by about a week, and then we're reporting for last week basically. So we're at the middle of October now, but what we're seeing is really the effects of like that first few days of October.
Absolutely. And some of the articles that we saw in the Dallas Morning News that kind of reflected this information that we're bringing to you. One was talking about flips that were happening in the DFW area. And I thought it was really interesting that they were saying that there's still a lot of flips that can happen if you want to do these. I think they said the average was around $86,000 or $76,000 was the return. That to me seems like really optimistic given how high prices are, how hard it is to get trades, and how hard it is to get supplies.
Yeah, that has become such a competitive market to obtain those for flippers and obtain those properties. It's crazy. I mean, how many calls did you get last week from people that are probably in a call center somewhere, just dialing for dollars, saying, "Hey, are you? Do you have anything off market or coming on that we could take a look at?"
And you get them in text now. And so with that being said, I think that you have to really be careful. And I think that even new buyers or buyers that are looking at flips, you really have to do your due diligence to make sure that house is quality, because if somebody's just flipping it for the first time, I don't want to buy that house.
Yeah.
We also saw that there was articles talking about new home construction and that they were up.
New home construction is way, the number of new homes that were sold in the third quarter of this year is the largest number of new homes ever sold in a quarter before in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
It's a lot of homes. We actually have several under contract right now, and we are talking from Sunnyvale, Wiley, into proper Dallas. And it's an interesting thing. I do say that Grenadier Homes is doing an excellent job right now. They have really kept on pace. And also K-Hub 90, we've got another one with K-Hub. And I will say that a very interesting thing is they are really good at rolling out every Friday those updates about what stage the home's in, what's the next stage, and kind of keeping a buyer calm. I think it's a great way to communicate, and I've been very pleased with both of these home builders and the way that they're handling that.
Yeah, I would agree. That's always, it's been kind of one of the soft spots, I think, in the building community is the communication with the realtors and with the purchasers.
It's a proactive form of communication rather than the buyer having to go, where are we and what's going on? This is landing on their, and it calms everybody down.
It really does.
It is interesting too, though, that we had a client that was looking at new home construction inside of Dallas, and Dallas is a little bit different when it's infill product. And basically Dallas buys a lot, organizes the plans, picks everything, orders it. Once construction happens, that's when they put it on the market. And it was a little surprising to them that there were like no selects left for them to make. It was like, pick your stain. You're done. That didn't quite work for them, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. And builders are, I think builders are approaching it a little bit smarter this time than they did in the 2005, 6, and 7 era, where a lot of them went out of business because they ended up with a lot of inventory.
Right.
And they had a lot of houses that were under contract where people couldn't close on them.
Right.
And now they're putting terms in place, and I don't want to be real specific because they change from builder to builder, but they're putting real specific terms in place where the buyer is going to be significantly financially hurt if they don't close on that in April or May, whatever the delivery time for next year is.
Yep. And in Dallas, they do a really good job of picking really great selects. I feel like the buyers have been so specific in what they want, and I guess the communication is clear between the builders, and I mean, they pick really great elements.
Yeah.
So